Can you actually become rich if your government just prints more money? Would a country flooded with gold automatically prosper? And if inflation makes everyone a millionaire on paper, are they truly any wealthier in real life? David Hume, a Scottish philosopher born in 1711, lived during a time when many rulers thought wealth meant gold and silver. Ships loaded with treasure were seen as instant prosperity. Yet ordinary people quickly noticed that bread, clothes, and rent all grew more expensive. This older economic belief was called mercantilism. It claimed nations grew richer by hoarding precious metals and restricting imports. Imagine a kingdom with guarded ports, vaults filled with silver, and merchants punished for buying foreign cloth. The mercantilist dream was security and self-sufficiency. If you kept the gold inside, your country supposedly grew stronger. But this often sparked shortages, higher costs for ordinary families, constant rivalries between nations over who got the biggest share. Hume challenged this obsession with hoarding. He saw money as a tool for exchange, not wealth itself. A farmer's grain, a weaver's cloth, or a craftsman's table were real wealth. Gold was useful only for circulating that production. His insight was simple, but radical. Increasing the money supply alone does not increase prosperity. Print more paper or mint more coins, and prices just rise to meet it. The goods and services stay exactly the same. To prove it, Hume developed the price-specie flow theory. When gold floods into a country, local prices climb. This makes exports expensive abroad. Foreign buyers turn elsewhere, and gold naturally flows back out, restoring balance in trade. This meant no country could simply hoard treasure forever. The economy corrected itself. The more a king tried to trap wealth inside, the more it slipped away. Prosperity, Hume argued, required trade, productivity, and fair exchange, not vaults. Spain's 16th century empire looked unbeatable. Galleons carried mountains of gold and silver from the Americas to Seville. For decades, Spanish kings believed they were richer than any neighbor, simply because their vaults overflowed with treasure. But the flood of bullion triggered what historians call the price revolution. Bread in Madrid became 2, then 3 times more expensive. Soldiers demanded higher wages. Everyday families found themselves poorer, even as Spain technically grew richer. Spanish exports collapsed under the weight of high prices. Textiles from the Low Countries or Italy suddenly looked cheaper abroad. Gold drained away too by foreign goods, proving Hume's argument before he was even born. John Law, in early 18th century France, believed paper money could power endless growth. He set up a bank issuing notes and tied them to shares in the Mississippi Company, promising fortunes to ordinary investors and nobles alike. At first, it worked. Paris buzzed with speculation. Merchants and peasants dreamed of riches. Streets filled with crowds trading shares and banknotes, convinced money itself could multiply wealth without any link to real production. But the notes outpaced reality. The company's trade never matched the paper frenzy. Confidence cracked. Investors panicked, rushing to exchange notes for gold. The bubble collapsed in 1720, leaving ruin, riots, and a devastated French economy. This was exactly Hume's warning. When money grows faster than real goods, prices surge, illusions shatter, and collapse follows. Paper wealth dissolves, leaving only the scars of speculation and broken trust in financial systems. A few decades later, revolutionary France repeated the same mistake. The new government issued assignats, paper money backed by confiscated church lands. Initially, they stabilized the crisis and bought bread. People trusted the paper because it had symbolic power, but political desperation led to overprinting. Assignats flooded the market, bread prices soared, and riots erupted. Peasants carried sacks of notes to buy a loaf, while merchants refused paper entirely. Hyperinflation shredded the revolution's promise of equality. The collapse fueled chaos. Trust in the revolutionary government weakened, paving the way for instability and eventually Napoleon's rise. Once again, Hume's insight echoed. When money loses its value, society itself can begin to unravel. By the 1920s, Germany was drowning in war reparations. The government printed marks to pay debts and wages. At first, it seemed like a practical solution. But prices started doubling, then tripling, until money itself became meaningless. Families rushed to markets with wheelbarrows of notes. A loaf of bread might cost 1 billion marks by evening. Workers demanded pay twice a day just to spend it before prices rose. Children stacked worthless notes as play blocks. Hyperinflation destroyed savings overnight. Teachers, clerks, and pensioners saw lifetimes vanish. Bartering returned, with farmers trading potatoes for shoes. In a modern world of trains and telegraphs, Germany felt dragged back into medieval chaos. Other cases, like Hungary's 1946 hyperinflation, showed the same spiral. Prices doubled every few hours. Shops rewrote chalkboard prices multiple times a day. Hume's logic held true. Money without real goods is empty paper, powerless against hunger. Across centuries, from Spanish gold to German marks, the pattern is clear. A sudden surge of money always leads to higher prices, social disruption, and eventually collapse. Real wealth lies in what people can make, grow, or trade. Hume's critics argued that short bursts of money could stimulate economies. Indeed, modern policies sometimes rely on this idea. But Hume warned that long-term prosperity never comes from printing presses. It comes from productivity, trust, and stability. Even today, debates over inflation echo Hume. When central banks inject liquidity or governments run huge deficits, the same fear arises. Are we just repeating the mistakes of Spain, France, and Weimar Germany in modern dress? Hume valued balance. He believed nations thrive when trade flows openly and money reflects real goods. Blocking imports, hoarding gold, or overprinting notes only creates bubbles that sooner or later burst into hardship. For individuals, the lesson is vivid. You may feel richer when wages rise or bank accounts swell. But if prices rise just as quickly, purchasing power vanishes. Real security comes from stable value, not empty numbers. Visualize it. One society counts mountains of coins, another prints rivers of paper. Both look wealthy, yet neither can feed its people. A modest village with steady trade may in truth be richer than empires awash in treasure. Hume's warning is timeless. Illusions of wealth are fragile. Gold, paper, or digital credits mean nothing without real goods, honest trade, and trust. Break that trust, and no amount of printed notes can restore prosperity. So when you hear promises that more money alone will solve problems, remember Spain's inflation, Law's bubble, France's collapse, and Weimar's chaos. Hume's insight endures. True wealth is not in money itself, but in what money makes possible. In today's world, this lesson still matters. Printing stimulus checks, inflating housing prices, or chasing quick crypto gains can feel like wealth. But without real production, innovation, and stability, these surges risk becoming illusions that quickly vanish. If you enjoyed this video and want more timeless lessons from history and philosophy, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Your support helps keep these ideas alive and brings more of Hume's insights into today's conversations.